Broadcasting Network.
'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
Hey, everybody, it is Wednesday, July 23rd. I'm Emerson Collins.
And I'm Del Shore.
And this is the Del and Emerson Show.
Straight talk.
Real gay. Yay! Oh my gosh. Everybody at home should know that we did not rehearse the opening this time,
rehearsal.
so I think we finally gotten it down.
I was focusing, though. I was really focused.
He wasn't. He was telling stories.
No, I was focused because we didn't rehearse.
Oh, yes, really prepared. It's like if you don't know what's happening, you think about it harder. We have a great, big, exciting show today.
Yes.
It's actually, this is our sports ball show.
Yeah,
We are diving in. We are doing sports ball. So much of it. Sports ball news.
a foreign language to me, and I'm just going to. I'm going to have lots of opinions.
And joining us a little later on, we have the series creator and one of the stars of VH1's smash hit show, Hit the Floor. And another of our very special friends of the show, Katherine Bailess, will be calling in to join us as well. So James LaRosa and Brent Antonello will be with us. And we're super excited because Brent's character, Jude, came out of the closet last week,
It
and
was
last night it
so
got
hot.
real gay. So it's a sports ball show.
It was like True Blood gay, just
but
for
it's very thematically relevant for us.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
super exciting, and they're handsome and intelligent men.
It was crazy that we scheduled them for the show, and then all of this just converged.
I know.
Because, it's straight
Well,
talk.
it's the gay mafia and the gay agenda. Real gay.
There's a gay god.
All
That's
right.
all I'm saying.
So we will kick it off. Today's an exciting day for you,
Well,
personally.
it's an important day for me because it's my mom's birthday. My mother would have been 78 today, and I always say she was absolutely the single biggest influence in my life and my career. She was an amazing storyteller. She encouraged me to lie as a child and told me that I could tell these stories, that it gave me permission, and so I have continued to lie my entire life and make money and also make money off of her family. So
and all of those stories. Thanks,
Yeah,
Lorraine. We are
yeah.
all grateful for you.
yes, absolutely. So happy birthday, Mom. And,
Yay!
I'll dedicating this show to her.
Gay in sports for Lorraine. I think she'd say, I'll pass. I'll wait for a week that you bring in some literary genius.
Yes, absolutely. So talk to me,
All
Emerson.
right.
What's important in the gay news?
So we're going to start off with the most important gay news of the week, and that is that Bravo czar and the head of the Real Housewives universe, Andy Cohen, is a top.
Who would have thought?
I mean, apparently Anderson Cooper didn't think he was.
Well, Anderson Cooper knew, though.
Yes.
He knew.
I have to say, it's one of my favorite things in the world that Anderson Cooper and Andy Cohen are really good friends because they're sort of the pivotal people at two different parts of my universe. Like, my political porn is from Anderson Cooper and my reality porn is from Andy Cohen, so their friendship makes my heart happy.
Well, I loved that clip. I thought it was hysterical, and it was almost. Did you get that Anderson perhaps was a bottom?
Well, for those of you who don't know what happened, Anderson Cooper and Kelly Ripa were the guests on Andy's Watch What Happens live show, and he's celebrating 5 years on the air. And so they kept promoting that Anderson was going to reveal some big secret about Andy Cohen. And so when they finally get to the moment, and Anderson sort of rubs his face and says, "What's a secret I know about Andy that people would be interested to know?" And he says, "I guess it would be that Andy's a top." And it cuts to Andy Cohen, and he has that like half jaw drop of like, "Best friend, we're on television on my show. We're not at a dinner party."
It really did look spontaneous. I mean, if they planned it out, that was good acting.
I think Andy Cohen's brilliant, but I don't think he's a great actor.
I don't
Like,
either.
it was very, very real. And then Anderson did his sort of schoolgirl giggle because he knew that he said something he probably should have, maybe kind of shouldn't. And then he did. He said, "Not that there's anything wrong with that." And he made a face that totally makes me think Anderson was basically admitting that he's a bottom.
I think it was. I think so.
This boy is a bottom.
That was very good.
I know, right?
Yeah.
If Willem Belli cancels some gigs, I could lip sync the crap out of that song.
Totally. You don't need to lip sync. You got a right pretty singing voice.
So I found it very amusing, and I thought it was great to see two important cultural figures having a sort of hilarious friendship discussion on television for all of our amusement.
And I love that Kelly Ripa said, "Now, some people may not know what that is."
I know, she's just digging in. She wanted to make it worse.
She's so skinny.
Well,
She is a skinny girl.
Mark Consuelos seems to like it.
I like her. I do. I mean, she stepped in when everybody thought she would fail, and she never failed. So I like that about her. Now, we do have some really important news.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so now to actually important gay news. On Monday, Obama signed an executive order aimed at protecting workers at federal contractors and in the federal government from discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. And that's huge. It's something we've been working towards for a long time.
Very important.
And I have to say that this goes to continue to show that, people who early on had a resistance to Obama on LGBT issues because they felt like he wasn't doing enough, with the Congress he has to work with, they can't get anything accomplished. He continues to show, with the power he does have in executive orders, how willing he is to fight for our community, because this isn't something he needed or had to do, and he's continuing to put his money where his mouth was.
Absolutely. And, in the vein of that, I always say what pisses me off. It pisses me off when you write something on Facebook or you celebrate something like this. And by the way, I keep calling it Edna instead of it just seems more it seems like it should be your Aunt Edna. But there are those people, and I've started banning and blocking them because I say, look, we are only going to celebrate what he did. We are only going to celebrate because this is celebrating this victory. And what do people write something negative about something else that he's done? Well, he hasn't done enough. Why hasn't he done this? Why isn't gay marriage in every single state? He has done more collectively than any of all the presidents.
Combined.
He has undone what Clinton did.
Yeah.
I mean, so we need to be grateful for our president.
And within our community, it's specifically important for bringing transgender rights onto the national stage. It is a part of our community that is often left out or left behind in some of the gay legislation, so that he included that. It's really important. And even more so, he did not cave to pressure from
the
religious
religion, yeah.
advocates who wanted basically a Hobby Lobby exemption so they could keep doing that kind of thing. And he said, nope, not doing it, which is awesome.
And subtext was, fuck you.
Basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
He said it in a nice presidential way.
What else? What else in the gay news? We
All
got
right, so that's the
flashing.
important gay news, and now we're going to continue our segment of flashing through the gay news. So this is specifically gay and at least amusing to us.
That means I can't pause and dwell and opinionate.
That's right. Just got to move on.
Move.
All right, we will start with George Takei, who's become one of the most fantastic grandpas of the gay community now that once he has come out. I mean, his Facebook page is one of the biggest on the internet.
It's the best.
I mean, he is so smart and articulate and witty and funny, and he told Bill Maher this week that he hates William Shatner.
And there was a whole thing about, but he's Canadian.
Right, but then what George Takei said back, he said, Canadians have a certain image of being even-tempered and friendly and all that. He is a person who is that way himself. He is very self-centered. Like, he is nice to himself.
Well, you can kind of sense that, right? I mean, there's a kind of blowhard quality, don't you think, about Shatner?
Yes. I mean, just from
that's what we love about him and his characters, because he gets to play that kind of horrible...
I think he's a nut job. I mean, at a certain point, Boston Legal reached the point where he and James Spader were just seeing who could be the craziest for the longest on camera.
I wonder if they're crazy off camera. Have you seen their stories?
Well, I mean, I feel like this is a good one.
Yeah. Well,
I have to say it's a little heartbreaking for me personally, and you at home might not know, but I'm a bit of a Trekkie.
Oh.
Like, we grew up, there were only 3 shows we watched growing up as a kid: The Cosby Show, Lois and Clark, which Dean Cain is on Hit the Floor, which is super exciting for me, and Star Trek: The Next Generation. I read all the Star Trek books.
You're much more of a geek and all of that kind of stuff
totally
that
am.
I was not at all.
I'm an undercover nerd, and I love it.
I just thought you would be, singing musicals all the time.
Oh, I did that too. I was all the kinds of nerds. Musical nerds, sci-fi, fantasy nerds, like check every nerd box.
How
I've
did
got
you
all
have
of them.
time for all of this?
Well, I read really quickly. Like, we would go on vacation. My parents, I have to be one of the only kids looking out the window of the car. My mother would go, you need to look outside and look at the scenery because I'm reading a book. My parents had to tell me to stop reading. They would come upstairs at night and tell me to stop trying to read a book by the nightlight. You're
still a big reader. I'm often amazed at how thick the books are that you read. It's like if Emerson reads a book, it's not. He goes, no, that one's too thin.
When it
that
comes
one's not
to
thick
books,
enough.
I'm definitely a size queen.
You definitely are. Okay, flashing on. And I have to give you this one because you loved this story so much when you told me.
Oh my gosh, it was so exciting. In our continuing discussion of the homoerotic phantasmagoria that is True Blood, this week had one of the best scenes in the entire history of the show. Pam and Eric are off looking for this girl, Sarah. Well, that's not really important, but they figure out that she's in Texas at a Republican fundraiser at the George W. Bush Library honoring Ted Cruz.
Oh my God.
Pam gets dressed in a full-length gown, and she looks at Eric and says, oh, look, I'm a Republican.
Oh,
And they get there, and the Yakuza show up and shoot up the entire event.
it was like Democrat heaven.
I mean, it literally was like Alan Ball and the True Blood team going, we just want to say that we think Ted Cruz is crazy enough that he should be shot.
You know that Ann Walker was just jumping up and down when they say, well, she's got that bad foot right now, so probably she just was jumping, hopping up and down.
Like flamingo on one leg.
But yay for True Blood continuing to entertain and be political and hot at the same time.
Absolutely. And it is one of my favorite things. Oh, and in the middle of it, we also found out that Lafayette, one of the best LGBT characters on television in many years, is a top.
Oh.
So it was the week for
Just
top.
like Andy Cohen.
It was the week for tops in TV.
So he and Andy Cohen could not. No,
they'd
would
be
not
sword
work.
fighting, and what would that
Wouldn't
accomplish?
Work. Would not work.
All right, flashing on through the gay
I
news.
bet Andy would bottom for him.
For Lafayette, who wouldn't?
Right?
He really is. That actor is one of my favorite, most fearless things in television. The creation of that character and how complicated and interesting and southern and super gay and opinionated and
straight in
strong.
real life, right? And
Yes.
just okay. I love that. We'll get to some of that later on in this show. With our straight actor who's playing gay.
Absolutely. Flashing on through the gay news.
Tom Daly.
Attitude magazine named Tom Daly, the Olympic diver for the UK, the sexiest man in the world.
Wow.
That's all you got.
Well, Matt Bomer was not in the running.
Well, I
mean,
feel like-
come on. I mean, he is the most beautiful man I think I've ever seen. What was the movie I said? The closed Outfest.
Space Station 76.
Yes, and he was in that, and I was just like, oh my God, he is so. I think you would like Space Station 76.
I can't wait to see it. I just couldn't afford $55.
Yeah, it was expensive, but it was packed. It was packed. And Outfest, since you were on our show, Alonzo Duralde, great job in scheduling this year. We really enjoyed it, or I did.
No, I absolutely did too. It was a phenomenal range of films, from the hilarious to the touching. So an incredible
But
job.
yeah, I mean, I think is he still with Mr. Black?
As far as I know,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't keep up with Dustin Lance Black's
Those kids
personal
are
life
still
as close as
cohabitating,
others.
and yeah.
But good for him. He's sleeping with the sexiest man in the world. And Attitude
And he's
is
not
a
bi
UK
anymore.
magazine.
He's not bi anymore. He says, I am gay.
He did?
Yeah, he has come out as gay, not bi.
Well, there you go.
It was a very, very short transitional
Quick
period.
transition.
Yeah, very short.
He said, I'm bi, and Dustin said, no, you're not.
He said, you cannot be bi and be with me. I won the Oscar for Milk.
Well, the bisexuals are an incredibly underrepresented part of our community, so
They are.
it is good. The fact that some gays use the byway to Gay Town doesn't mean that all bisexuals are in that category, just for the record.
That's true. That's true. We love our 5 bisexual listeners, so thank you
Yes,
for...
all of you. All right, flashing on.
Yes. This
Okay, there are two things that everyone in the world, it's literally the only thing on television. It's the conflict in Israel and Palestine, and we are not going to talk about that
No.
because it's a history lesson that would take more hours than we have in a month's worth of shows. We will
and
discuss...
it would bring the show way down.
It's an incredibly intense and complicated history that literally goes back thousands of years, so we are certainly not going to solve the crisis in the Middle East today on our show. It's not that gay, and
I'm
we're
just
not
not
gonna try.
skilled to solve it. I'm just not.
I will say that Israel and Tel Aviv has an incredibly vibrant gay scene, and they are incredibly gay friendly in the Middle East. So that's a very
Well,
important
I'm
thing
not
for our
going there
community.
to be part of that. I'm just not.
Well, you don't
not
have
right
to.
now. There's just too much unrest.
Yes. Well, you can find you a gay Jew here in LA. There's plenty here as well.
Okay, good.
All right. But the one that we will talk about is the incredible tragedy that was Flight MH17 being shot down over eastern Ukraine, and of course. What the thing that's particularly relevant to our community is that there were 7 AIDS researchers and activists on the plane that were headed for the 2014 International AIDS Conference in Melbourne, Australia. Now, the original number that was reported early on, when
Was
we didn't
100,
have many
right?
details, was that there were 100 people on it, which led to an enormous amount of conspiracy theories on the internet that somehow Putin had shot down this plane in order to set back the AIDS research movement to basically give another screw you to the gays. Now, I believe that Putin will do anything to ravage our community, and I think that they are still under an incredible amount of duress in his country, but that is a little far-fetched.
Yeah, it was a little much, and I don't. Where did that number come from?
I
How
think-
could it be so off?
Well, I mean, it was in the very, very early hours where, because of the nature of it's in a rebel-held territory, that we had very little information, and Malaysia Airlines has, bless their hearts, had an incredibly
They've had a hard
terrible year, and
They're
so
not going to make it.
The passenger list was not released, and so it was just a handful of people they knew about.
But
it.
when I heard that, I was going, "Oh my God! They all had to get some group rate. Everybody get your ticket now. I mean, it was that was a little much. And I we don't need to always go to the conspiracy theories. I think that sometimes things happen, and this was a horrific tragedy, and
another regional conflict that we as a nation are sort of weirdly weighing in. And of course, the Republicans are taking advantage of it as an opportunity to slam the president for not doing something when we don't have enough information. So, yay for political conflict.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Yep, that's all we got. Another crisis we won't solve today. All right, so this next one. There is a Georgian soprano, and by the way, that is Georgia the country, not Georgia the peaches.
That threw me off.
Just to be clear.
Threw me off a little bit.
Dell was not clear, and I said, no, this isn't a problem in Atlanta. This is a problem in a former Soviet republic. That's that other Georgia. See, when you're talking about the southern one, you say Georgia, and when you're talking about the Russian one, you say Georgia.
Right.
So, a Georgian soprano, Tamar Iveri, is in hot water for a Facebook post that she did over a year ago that came to light. It was in response to a violent anti-LGBT riot that broke out at an LGBT rights rally in Georgia. Ironically, the riot, or not, was led by priests of the Orthodox Church. So it was an LGBT rights rally, and these protesters showed up, led by Orthodox priests, to start a riot. And so she put out this comment about it and later on claimed...
On Facebook, correct?
Yes, on Facebook. Then she tried to claim that it was her husband who posted it, as she, quote, said, a tough attitude towards gay people because her husband is very religious. Like, it's because he's super religious and he's tough on gays. Like, that's better. So now, in order to make up for it, because she was fired from Opera Australia for this, I mean, let's be honest. Who goes to the opera but rich gay people and like old
really?
white people with money?
That's like when Donna Summer made anti-gay comments, years and years and years ago.
Or Mandisa on American Idol.
Right. Oh, Mandisa. Oh, where is she today?
She performs at Women of Faith concerts. A girl that I went to college with sings backup for her on this tour, so I keep up with it occasionally.
Her name always sounded like a Disney character to me, like an animated, like she should belong, Mandisa, part of the Lion King. Anyway,
so this Georgian soprano is now doing a benefit concert in Georgia dedicated to gays, lesbians, and other sexual minorities, though she personally said it's dedicated to victims of all kinds of violence, which will take place on National Coming Out Day, October 11th. It's her way of apologizing to LGBT people for the letter and the homophobic sentiments that she expressed. Now,
the post was horrible, right?
Yes, for you to get the full picture of the post, we're going to do a dramatic reading, and we've decided that Del Shores is going to play the role of Georgian soprano Tamar Iveri. So how's your Russian accent?
It's horrible. I mean, I would have been much better with the Georgia down in the South. I could have done her. I was quite proud of the fact. I mean,
you do Southern women and Latina women very well.
Yes, I grew up in South Texas, in Zapata, Texas, so I could do Spanish, Mexican. I could do that accent very well.
Well, her husband's name is Raul.
Okay.
You could just make her Latina.
All right. I am going to read her quote with... Well, I'm going to try European, but there will be some Spanish influence. I just want to be warned. I'm just not skilled enough. But she's a soprano. So, I was quite proud of the fact how Georgian society spat at the parade. Am I high enough?
No, she's a soprano. I think you need to be higher.
Often in certain cases, it is necessary to break jaws in order to be appreciated as a nation in the future and to be taken into account seriously. Please stop vigorous attempts to bring West fecal masses in the mentality of the people by means of propaganda. That's a horrible quote.
It is, but I feel like your performance of it was wonderful.
I think. Well, you know
what? It was very well done. Maybe
I'm hoping that James LaRosa is in the other room listening, because there may be a role for me on Hit the Floor with that audition.
As the Russian housekeeper?
I was just auditioning for him, basically. That's what I was doing.
I think you could totally play Kyle's Russian housekeeper. I mean, she had a butler played by the wonderful Sam Pancake for a while. You could be next.
I know, and I can act Sam Pancake. I'm just saying.
I mean, he's just parading homos through the show now. Chris Evans' gay brother was on the episode this week.
I'm so in. But let's go back just really quickly. She needs more than one concert to be forgiven for this fucking quote. This is a horrible, horrible quote. Right, John?
Fecal masses.
Fecal mass. Who writes fecal masses? Well, I did once. On
I can't tell if that's a like we're shitty people or the sexist shitty joke that she's trying to make. Maybe it's lost in translation.
To bring West fecal. No, she's saying that the gays are the fecal masses. We're fecal masses. Oh my God. Well, I say
not if you douche.
Good for her. Good for her that she's trying to make amends. But fuck you for this quote. It's just horrible.
She is not. She's just trying to get her job back.
That's exactly what she's doing, and that pisses me off. I get so angry. We're going to get to a few more of those where they've made apologies because only for the purpose of getting a job back or to redeem themselves. You know what, guys? It ain't cool anymore to bash the gays. It's not.
Yeah, just don't do it.
Yeah, just don't.
We have that gay mafia and the gay agenda.
We do.
Don't mess with us.
All
Andy
right.
and Andy will come for you.
At Anderson.
I want them to make Christmas cards. Andy squared. Just like the two of them smiling with Kathy Griffin in the middle.
All right, let's move on.
All right, we promised you a sports ball show, so the next 3 news stories are all sports ball related. So, you guys, I'm moving into ESPN, Entertainment Sports Ball Network, reporter mode.
And I get really nervous when we talk about sports because I just don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I don't either, so we're going to play Let's
I
Pretend.
know a little bit here, though.
Okay,
little bit.
I actually, this first one I can talk about a lot because I'm a huge fan of this guy. Chris Kluwe.
Love him.
If you are not familiar with him, you really should be because he's been one of the greatest straight allies in the news in the last couple of years with absolutely no reason to do so. He was a kicker for the Minnesota Vikings. They're the ones that wear the horns on their helmets. See, I know the costumes. And he regularly has spoken out in support of LGBT rights and issues just from a perspective of it's common sense. It just makes sense. And he's often been sort of shushed. And he said, I'm not going to stop talking about this. Like, it's human rights and equal rights. And so he was released by the Minnesota Vikings with a year
fired, basically.
Yes, with a year left on his contract. And I love this. He wrote an article in Deadspin in January entitled, I was an NFL player until I was fired by 2 cowards and a bigot.
He does not mince words. I mean,
No.
his original thing was brilliant.
Oh, absolutely. Like, if you go all the way back, the thing that sort of launched him onto the national equal rights stage was the article that he wrote and when the Maryland Marriage Equality Ballot Initiative was happening, and he wrote to Emmett C. Burns Jr. These are my 2 favorite quotes from it, bear with me, because he just has a way with words, as people like you we know. He said, if gay marriage becomes legal, are you worried that all of a sudden you'll start thinking about penis? Oh, shit, gay marriage just passed. Gotta get me some of that hot dog action. I can assure you that gay people getting married will have 0 effect on your life. They won't come into your house and steal your children. They won't magically turn you into a lustful cock monster. They won't even overthrow the government in an orgy of hedonistic debauchery because all of a sudden they have the same legal rights as the other 90% of our population. Can I get an amen?
Amen. And also just Google his name, Chris, Kluwe, shirtless, and it's quite something.
But he's back in the news because the Vikings did an internal examination to see if his claims that he was fired for his outspokenness is the reason, and they did suspend his direct coach, the special teams coordinator. Y'all had to read this because I don't know what that means. I just know it's a title. I mean, I feel like special teams. It's like for the like the Special Olympics team. I don't know.
The slower ones.
The slower teams. I mean, I could be a kicker. That's if I were going to be on a sports ball team. That's obviously what I have to do and kick. But they suspended that coach because they found that some of Chris Kluwe's allegations were correct. He did actually say at one point in front of several people, we should round up all the gays and send them to an island and then nuke it until it glows.
Wow.
He got suspended for 3 games.
3 games.
That's it. And if he competes some kind of bullshit, sexual orientation sensitivity training, it's only 2 games.
But now they released some bullshit thing about Chris that he had done something with
now they're slinging
child molest.
Yes, they're slinging dirt back at him in order to discount his statements. So, Chris Kluwe, we stand behind you.
We love
you.
you.
Big supporters of you, and we appreciate the support you've given up. Wherever you go, he should be a commentator. The man is brilliant.
Yeah,
so I hope he gets a great job somewhere doing something else.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that was so much sports ball, and we have more.
That was a lot of information. You did so well, Emerson.
I know,
I'm
right?
very impressed.
Well, the trick is not to talk about what's actually happening on the field because to me they just look like little ants running around in giant shoulder pads like it's the 80s. All right, next sports ball story. Former NFL coach Tony Dungy of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that means they dress up as pirates.
I like to say Dungy.
Yes. And then and he was also the coach of the Indianapolis Colts. I think it means they ride horses like polo. And he was a Super Bowl champ, said in a Tampa interview that he would not have drafted openly gay player Michael Sam because, quote, not because I don't believe Michael Sam should have a chance to play, but I don't want to deal with all of it.
And then he went and he's made an additional statement and really trying to... Now we have to remember, he is the one who brought Mr. Vick back. Am I correct?
Yes, although that's a little bit different because he was no longer a coach and he was working in prison ministries, and so he mentored Michael Vick on his way back into the NFL. So it wasn't a position as a coach. So it is, I will give him that's a little bit different. However, it should be noted that he was the first African-American coach to win a Super Bowl, and he received a significant amount of racist pushback to his own work in the NFL as a coach. Look at so much sports ball knowledge. So he should certainly be someone to support another pioneer.
But his quotes after he went under attack, he said, I was not asked whether or not Michael Sam deserves an opportunity to play in the NFL. He absolutely does. I was not asked whether his sexual orientation should play a part in the evaluation process. It should not. I was asked whether I would have a problem having Michael Sam on my team. I was not asked whether I would have a problem having Michael Sam on my team. I would not, but he says, I do believe Michael's sexual orientation will be a distraction to his teammates or his organization. Oh, no, I do not believe. I keep misquoting him. But he says, I do, however, believe the media attention that comes with it will be a distraction. Unfortunately, we are all seeing this play out now, and I feel badly that my remarks played a role in the distraction. Yes, he did exactly what he's saying would happen. Yeah. He's playing a part in that, and he owned up to it. And he says he wishes Michael Sam nothing but the best. But he's confident that he hopes that he gets to show what he can do on the field. I just say shut the fuck up. I mean, just shut the fuck up, because you're just stirring shit that you shouldn't be involved in.
If you want to be retired, be retired. And also, he made a video for the National Organization of Marriage, encouraging Tim Tebow, who is a significant distraction himself on the field and to a team, let's be honest. So I feel like there's a little bit of disingenuousness going on here.
I do too. Does that wrap us up?
No, it doesn't. But let's just say I will be watching the Rams, one, because their team name is hilarious for having the first homo on football. And so I hope that he makes it through whatever that, practice rehearsal time is to actually be on the team.
And I've actually been wanting to say something about, names of sports organizations. I was having lunch with our boss, the CEO, Ann Walker, and Debbie Holiday the other day. And Ann we were talking somehow about the Washington Redskins and the demand that they change the name of their team. And Ann goes, I don't know. They've had it for such a long time. And Debbie said, well, Ann, I just don't think that if there was a team called Colored Runners that I would want them to continue with that name.
That might not work so well for merchandising purposes.
So I loved that Debbie came up with that right on the fly.
She did. This is not the first time she thought about it. All right, well, we got to move on. We'll save our next story for another time. Up next, right after the break, we will have in studio with us series creator and showrunner James LaRosa from VH1 smash hit Hit the Floor, and Brent Antonello. So stick around and we'll be right back.
And Katherine Bailess on the phone.
Yes, here's hoping she figures it out.
Child without a friend, I see a soul who thinks that it's the end. A broken will's the hardest thing to mend, but try to understand. I know you're hurting, I can see your pain, but you've got a future where there's no more shame. You're a miracle in spite of what they say. And you'll see a bright new day, 'cause it gets better. that you're weak and they are strong. They put that loaded metal in your head, but I can help you understand. Yeah.
All right, welcome back. Those of you who are not familiar, a year ago, VH1 introduced a fantastic new scripted late-night soap drama full of intrigue and sex and sports ball and drama and murder, and I love it.
Oh, it's so great. It's like cotton candy. You can't stop eating it.
Oh,
it's a great guilty pleasure.
It's more like crack. Like, I can't get enough. Every time it finishes,
I
it's
try not to make drug references, okay?
Well, I'm sorry. If you have a problem, go to rehab. I'm not
quite there yet.
I'm not putting a trigger warning on our show for your drug problems. I will make a druggy metaphor if I want to.
Now everybody's gonna think I have a drug problem.
Hey, you put it out there. That's why it's live.
Well, welcome, guys.
And so they premiered their second season on Memorial Day, up 40% from last year, and they are averaging over 3 million viewers a week. It is a smash success. So welcome to the studio, James LaRosa.
James, welcome.
Where are all these people applauding?
They're behind that curtain over there. Yeah.
Actually, I just clap a whole bunch of times, and we just looped it over
dedicated.
and over and over.
The drugs are working for you.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
And we also have Brent Antonello, who plays Jude on the show.
Hey, guys.
Welcome.
Wait, he didn't get any applause.
Oh,
I didn't get any. Oh, okay. Great.
It was a group applause.
It was just for me.
And on the phone, we should have Katherine Bailess.
Do we have Katherine?
Catherine?
I'm waiting on her for right now. Yeah, she's coming in.
Well, she'll be here in a minute.
She's putting on her lips.
As Katherine Bailess once... she's a little bit late sometimes, but as she once said, if you can leave the house in less than 45 minutes, you probably shouldn't. It's one of my favorite Katherine Bailess quotes.
Well, and Kat would put lipstick on for a radio interview.
Yes.
Oh, I can totally see that.
And for the gym, and I mean, you got to have a face on.
She should tattoo, maybe. Can't you tattoo your makeup on?
You can do your eyeliner.
I mean,
I know too much.
We should sit her down and talk. Save some time.
That's a scene.
She could leave in under 45 minutes.
Kat, are you here?
I'm here.
Yeah. All right. Welcome, Katherine.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, baby. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sad I'm not sitting in between all of those beautiful boys.
They are beautiful. It's a pretty show. I'm bringing down the curve a little bit.
No,
but
y'all too.
Are you sitting next to Charlie Sheen, though?
Do.
yeah. What's happening on the set?
not yet.
You're on a set, right? Tell us where you are.
Anger management.
Anger
I
management.
haven't met anybody yet, so I'm just, in my trailer.
Uh-oh.
Oh, your phone got weird. Hey, hang up and call back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're.
Am I- am
So
I-
bitchy.
Oh, now you're back.
Hang up and call back.
No, she's breaking up.
Yeah, you're breaking.
You're breaking up. Call back. We're going to talk to the boys about the show for a minute. Call right back.
Please call back.
Just
Okay.
hang-
I'm trying to get rid of her.
Just turn around.
We're trying to get her. Well,
Is
boys,
this how women are treated on this?
It's
on this
kind of
show?
that way.
Trying
Yeah.
to get rid of her.
But-
So let's talk about this series because it's a fantastic venture. For those of you who don't know, it takes place in the world of the female dance team for the fictional LA basketball team, the Devils. It is the story of the Devil Girls. Where did the concept for the show come from, James?
The concept came from actually VH1 had some shows that were working very well for them at the time. One was a reality show called Basketball Wives. The other one was a soap that they had single ladies, and so they thought, what if we put this peanut butter with this chocolate? And the woman who came to me, Maggie Molina, who's one of the EPs on the show, who I've worked with for many, many years, more than she would want me to say, she thought, you want a show about a bunch of women? I think I know the guy for you. And we pitched the show shortly thereafter, and they said, yay. So that's how Hit the Floor was born.
Well, it's wonderful, and I love the weave of the story because
Literally or figuratively?
well,
All of the above.
Because we've got both.
There's a lot of weave on that show,
Yes.
but you handle that so well because that's not easy to have 45 regulars. I mean, you just keep adding them, and I'm keeping up with them and blending them and making it compelling. I really love your storytelling. You're doing a great job.
Thank you very much. I grew up on soap, so I'm used to 100 characters and trying to make them all work together.
Now, do you have to research the sports, the basketball, or you know basketball?
Well, I think I have a working knowledge, but I think any writer who, as you know, once you get into a world, you have to download it pretty
Right.
hardcore, and things change all the time, and you want to sort of stay up on it. So yeah.
I have to be honest that one of my favorite things is that it's theoretically about sports ball, but we've only ever had to watch like a whole minute and a half of the sports ball actually being played. As the fan, I appreciate that.
I appreciate that you call it sports
I
ball.
know, I was
What
about
the
to say
hell
that,
is that?
sports ball.
All of them. It's sort of a thing like that I don't. Yeah, all sports are
He's
sports
coined the
balls.
phrase. I think
Okay.
you need a trademark on that, by the way.
I feel like I probably wasn't the first, though I am popularizing it for sure. But let's talk about how do you? It is a significant amount of story that you juggle. How do you? And you have a team of writers that you supervise. Do you guys lay out
Fantastic group of people.
the entire season in advance?
Yes, we actually not many shows do it the way we do. We actually write everything in advance. The final moment of the season is written before the first moment is shot.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
So
actually
you gather a few months early.
we gather a few months early, yeah, and it really works out well for a few reasons. But for me primarily, it's to know. Because there are so many storylines, you can look at it in one lump kind of a way. Like there's no superfluous scene on the show. Sometimes if you're filming as you're writing, you might test drive a couple of characters together. They're not really working. You can kind of change course and all that sort of stuff. But with our show, any scene that's on the show is like, there's no fat. Like you have to really know in episode 11 if that scene in episode 2 matters or not, or vice versa. So it's it helps us a lot and allows us to get more bang for our story buck.
And those of us at home get a lot of bang for your bucks.
There's a
as
lot of
well.
bang on Hit the Floor.
We do
right,
really.
A lot of bang.
I mean, and let's talk to Brent for a minute because this is a really exciting development that's happened on the show. That's there's been a lot of sex across the series, but a week ago the audience got let in on the fact that Jude is a homo.
They did.
And did you know this when you signed on for the show?
No, we didn't.
How did that conversation go?
What? How'd that conversation go?
It was
Brent?
actually funny. Adam and I thought we were getting, or I personally thought I was getting fired, because I found out, James texted me on a Friday and said, hey, where are you? I'm like, just left work, probably 15 minutes out. And he goes, okay, well, I want to discuss where the character's going, but we can talk about it on Monday. And for me, I'm going to be thinking about that all
Right,
weekend.
like,
I
you're
can't do
killing
that.
me off, I'm
I can't do
dying.
that. Okay, I'm turning around. So I went to James's office, and we discussed the scene and everything, and I thought it was great. I thought it was a great development for the character, and especially for Zero being a professional athlete in that, that testosterone alpha, whatever it is, environment. I thought it was great, and I'm very pleased with how everything's coming about. I think it's great.
Well, Adam is very hot, and you're living a lot of our fantasies. So you're
Brent's super hot too.
Well, you're hot. You
dude.
are.
I mean,
but we didn't see you without your shirt until the other night, and that was. By the way,
Who knew he was packing? Right?
I know,
He's been
all of
packing
that.
with suits and ties the entire
I was
season,
talking-
and suddenly it's bam.
I love that you honored and that the gay sex was as equally as hot as the straight sex in the very same episode. It was really, really well done.
Thank
And-
you. I
It
mean,
was.
And I have to applaud you, by the way, because we did a show a couple of weeks ago about the guy from True Blood who found out his character was skewing gay, and he
Quit.
decided he didn't want to be on the show anymore.
really?
Yeah, he left. Like, asked to leave, and they were like, yeah, bye. And that's a show where everyone should know you may end up in a homo moment at some point. It's the whole theme of the show, but this is really new.
I'm pretty
For
sure
you.
that every single cast member on Hit the Floor feels like they could go in any direction at any point. So if I were to hook up any two people, and I can't think of a single actor that I have that'd be like, if it made sense in the story, like
Right.
for instance with Jude and Zero, it made sense in the story. It was a big shocker, but you're watching two characters kind of evolve. You're following each of them, and then it happens. It wasn't some sort of thing for shock value. If you go back through the episodes, you can sort of see random little things about each character that could potentially go in that direction. But I would say, I mean, I was thrilled. You know, Brent talks about how when he came up to the office and we talked about it, and afterwards he's like, I thought I was getting fired. I was like, oh God, I'm so sorry. But the conversations I had with Brent from the jump were amazing. Same with Adam. They attacked it in the same way that we in the writers' room attacked the story, which was it's a story. It's not
Right.
just some sort of moment.
And you're an
that's gonna-
actor. I mean, you're an actor.
Yeah.
That's what I had a huge problem with that guy. I was going, come on, you're an actor. We always hope that we're not cast just because of whatever, that if we're gay, we can play straight.
Exactly.
And I've had a lot of heat in my career casting straight actors to play gay roles. Have you gotten any since this has happened?
No.
None of the gays
No, well,
are mad?
I don't know if any of the actors involved are what they what they say they are.
Because
or not. It's
who
not
cares,
well,
right.
but it's not for me to say if people are gay or straight or if they're not. I mean, I
You
know
cast the best actor, right?
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's-
Because the character of Zero and the character of Jude aren't, and who knows what the actors or the characters would really define themselves as, but both of those characters aren't. Their sexuality doesn't come first. I mean, Zero a little bit. He's kind of walking schlong. But in general, the characters aren't defined by that first. So when I'm looking at an actor to play the role, I'm looking at someone who, in Jude's case, someone who has really had the child of neglect, who's just constantly trying to, get the approval of a guy who, is this really the guy you want to get the approval of? His father, Oscar, owner of the team, and kind of a murderer, but whatever.
Yeah.
And so that comes first. And so I need to watch that when someone comes in and auditions. And his audition was fucking, can you swear?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
I'm on the show.
Okay, great. His audition was so wonderful. I loved it. And I'm not going, okay, so now that scene in episode 9 where this has to, I mean, it's, I needed to see the stuff before you go
Well,
there.
it would be inappropriate to ask him in the room. It would. I mean, and it bothers me when I have gotten criticism or anybody gets criticism. Why didn't you cast a gay actor? Because I did not ask. At the
Listen.
time he auditioned, he was gay for me.
Hit the Floor, I mean, has had its fair share of gay actors playing straight. So I don't understand the
Who?
difference.
No.
I knew that was coming.
Sam Pancake.
Yeah, Sam. Oh yes, he said he was straight.
He said he was.
Yeah,
But
I
come
believe
on.
that.
Wendell,
As a butler.
the valet.
Right.
Wendell, yeah.
Yes.
I was like, but I don't think he's good enough to get Jude.
No.
So that's not going
I
to
love Sam Pancake.
And
though.
Chris Evans' gay brother Scotty played the assistant photographer on
Yeah.
this episode.
Danny the photographer.
Yeah.
And he was
Danny.
great too.
And
He was-
thrown aside like yesterday's
I know,
business
right?
as soon
I
as
know.
Zero came
well,
over.
I mean, at least Jude has the same priorities the rest of us do. I'm going to take the hottest one I can get.
That poor guy just at the party, just standing in the corner waiting, still waiting, I guess, because when I left,
Kyle's
he was
parties
still.
never end. He's in the corner.
He's still there right now.
Do we have Katherine back?
No, we're trying.
What has the fan response been though to this? Because obviously you built the show in a certain kind of world, and I was reading a lot of the Twitter reaction. It's been sort of interesting.
It's been amazing, actually. I mean, I think whenever you have a story. By the way, this is the same episode where Derek and Asha broke up, and
Yes,
I've been getting
I mean-
a lot more heat off of that than I've been getting off of Jude and Zero. Jude and Zero, I feel like the reaction to that has been both really kind of incredible for me because I didn't grow up with the gay characters particularly getting with each other. Like there was never 2 gay characters on a show if
Right.
there was ever even one. So to have 2 together, have them both be characters you're invested in and hot and together. I mean, there was just, it's not really super done a lot. And so the reaction has been combinations of, watching 2 guys. I never thought watching 2 guys together would be this hot, but oh my God, that was the sexiest thing I've ever seen. Or, Jude and Zero aren't. Also, I was going to say that anytime they had a gay character like Matt on Melrose Place was, God bless the actor and God bless what they were trying to do, but he's kind of dull. Like he didn't really have, he was so
Yes.
noble that he never got to do anything. Jude and Zero aren't really the most noble characters
No.
on the planet. So the fact that they get to be kind of dirty with everybody else, because no one on Hit, I mean, there's like a half a character who's kind of good on Hit the Floor, and everyone else is just kind of up to no good.
Murky.
A little murky. But also, I think people bought into the fact that it was a story first. Like I was saying before, it was a story first before it was like, what? Oh, they just did this crazy thing just for us to go, what? Like you were going, oh my God, I've watched Zero scheme all season and hook up with Yelena, and now he's with these girls in this bedroom, and what's he up to? And he's trying. And then you've got Jude, who's trying to get his father's approval. He's trying to break up Pete and Raquel, working with Lionel and all this. So you have like these 2 things. So it was more about a story than it was about anything else. And so the audience loved that.
Well, and I think that's what I find sort of revolutionary about it in the storytelling that you guys have done so well is that you've created this incredibly complicated person that like I love and I hate and I like feel bad for you, but like you're making terrible decisions and and abusing people and like wheeling and dealing. And this wasn't a story until it was a relevant story. It wasn't like Hit the Floor has gay character. It was like Hit the Floor has added a new character that's like the son of a guy that we all hate and he wants his approval and we all hate him and why do you want his approval? Oh, and now it matters because I think this guy's hot and kissed him. Oh shit.
I mean, at least for me, it made me love the character much more. I mean, it made me. He was.
For me, it adds to the like distance from dad, like all these things that you're hiding and what's the secret. And what has the reaction been for you personally in the last sort of 8 days?
It's
to the revelation.
Actually, it's been 2 days.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
Well, I mean,
that's right. He kissed
yeah.
Zero at the end of the episode
He
before.
had his big, the big,
right. He was
a
the
week ago.
OMG HTF moment.
Right.
Is he a good kisser, by the way? Good.
Adam, he's good.
Yeah, good.
Committed.
Adam's good. Adam's very committed.
Good.
But what was the story I was telling you about? I think I was talking to one of my friends who's a girl. I'm just like, I know what you guys talk about when you say you like clean shaven.
Oh, there you go.
I looked at Adam when we were in the limo. I'm like, dude, I get it now. I
Sometimes
get it.
it's
The beard-
chafing.
The beard burn.
Yes.
We've got Katherine Bailess back.
I'm trying to call her right now.
Ooh, is that her theme music?
Oh.
It's so pretty.
It's so fancy.
This is not Kyle's theme for sure.
Well, and now let's talk about the ladies for a minute, because from the very beginning, I was actually doing a play with Katherine Bailess when she got cast in this pilot, when it was still called Bounce.
Hello.
Hey!
You're back.
Katherine, you're back on the air.
Hello.
Catherine.
We're going to try to get her. Hang on, just hold. Bear with
We're just going to listen to her say hello. Don't say anything weird.
I think that's entertaining.
Oh, there you are.
Hey!
There she is.
Hey, Katherine. We're
Welcome
sorry about
back.
that.
Well, we're turning
Hey.
to talk about you and the ladies for a minute, and I was telling the story of how you were shooting this pilot when we were doing a play together and showed up so excited about this phenomenal new show where you were dancing and acting your face off, and it was exhausting and exhilarating from the very beginning, yes?
Yeah. And I remember I did like some of my stripper moves.
She did show us some
on
of the early
stage during
choreo.
rehearsals. Yeah. Did a double turn into a split. Just what I did for you, James.
Thanks for that, Kat.
And Katherine, I love you on the show. You know I do, and I love you personally. But this just fits you like a glove. It really does. And I remember when you auditioned for this, and you said, "I don't need any help with this one. I got this one." You did.
Well, I kept on getting called back, and I said, "Well, do you want to help me, Dale?" And he goes, "Kat, I really just don't think I should." And I was like, "Are you sure?" I mean, like we both were kind of like, maybe I should just keep it as is and just, just see if I can get this. And
I was
feel
scared
like
I'd
they
fuck
kinda
it
like
up.
me.
What? Kat,
I said I was scared I would fuck it up, and then if you didn't get it, you'd go, "Del Shores coached me wrong."
when Kat walked into her audition, forget all the dancing, which I mean, she's a phenomenal dancer, and the acting, forget that as well. And she's wonderful, and you guys that watch Hit the Floor know that she can do it all. She can do drama, comedy, all that other stuff. Her personality when she walks into the room is so large and it's so engaging that she could suck at acting and suck at dancing, but you just stare at her like you just want to be at her party constantly. The fact that she can do everything else gets you the job. But it was like when she came in, because so many people come in and audition and they all have their own sort of like, how do I need to be for this person and how can I, whatever. But she just comes in and she's just so engaging. She's so fun. You just want to like jump on her back and have her walk you around town.
Yes.
It's wonderful.
And what's great about Kat is that she is a gorgeous woman, but she is an amazing comedic actress. And Leslie Jordan saw Boomerang Effect, and he co-starred in Sordid Lives, the series. She played this mean nurse, and he said, "Kat Bailess is just a comedic genius."
That is a brilliant impression of him.
Worked with him a few times.
Well, and it sort of seemed like from that very first Care Bear line in the pilot that the audience sort of went, "We are on board with this crazy white girl in the middle of our like hip hop world."
When she was cut halfway through the episode, people were like, every time I watched that episode with someone, they would always go, "Oh, I like her." And I was like, "Oh, it's a tough world. You never know." And then when she came back and like 5 seconds later to give Oscar a blowjob, they were like, "Yay.
Yay.
Coming back to give Oscar a blowjob." And they're like,
Which y'all cut.
Well, no, we didn't cut the blowjob. I mean, we're not going to sit there and
Well, no.
film you while you're going up and down on Dawn Stark.
I don't
what
need
do you-
to see you doing
my
the
favorite
filleting.
part when like I was bending down and all you saw was my butt like in the jersey, in the men's jersey, and then those sparkly Louis Vuittons that were just like peeking out underneath the desk.
That pilot was 10 minutes long. Something had to go,
Well,
Kat. I saw your sparkly Louboutins to make the final cut.
Extra features on the DVD first season. Katherine Bailess. I don't know if I want to see
I
that.
think it made the bloopers.
Well, for that scene, we had Dawn, who plays Oscar, thought it would be funny, and I thought it would be funny too when I watched it, is she goes, well, there's something I could do for you. And then she walks around his desk, goes over, and then what you see on the show is we cut away. But what happens on set is, as she's down there, he goes and reaches for a meatball sub, and he's basically eating a sandwich while she's blowing him. And she's like, you want some of this?
And then it was my birthday, so I'm down there, and the entire crew and cast start singing "Happy Birthday" while I'm down,
Blowing
on my
out his
knees
candle.
in the ponds. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Twice.
Well, you could at least give me something to blow. I mean, come on, like a candle.
He offered you
know.
some of that sub, and he said, "Did you want some?" And you nodded. Do you remember that? As you're blowing him,
yes.
Pass me that hoagie.
Natalie Bailess was so
Oh,
proud. But let's talk about
Natalie's proud.
all of this phenomenal group of women that you gathered, because the men are great and they do great work, and I think it's an enormous tribute that you've created these strong masculine characters and made them all complicated
Hey, Brent.
and
Hey, Kat.
sensitive, like Brent, who I'm like getting more and more of a crush on the longer that we sit here.
I'm watching it happen.
I'm sure. I knew it.
So the men are fantastic, but really the heart of the show, is these women and these girls, and just the actresses, the work that they have to do to learn these dance routines, to give these killer performances every episode, and then act their way through a whole bunch of scenes as well. I mean, that is a rather intense job that these young ladies have been asked to do, and they just...
Kat, what's
How do we
what's
do
your
it?
day like?
I don't know. Honestly, every day I wake up, I'm like, how am I going to do a 6 a.m. dance rehearsal till 9:30 and go do 4 scenes tonight? How am I going to do that? I don't know. I did it. I mean, I think we just all get in the zone, and we have so much support from every single actor, because everyone, they appreciate it. Everyone's like, God, y'all are just really doing a great job. Thank you so much. And we're like, okay, that gives us enough energy to get up the next morning and do the same thing, and it's fun. Everything's fun. I mean, there are times we want to, fall on the ground, just cry
And cry a little
if
because your
I'm
eyelashes are
tired.
melting off.
I know there were a few
Yeah.
days where I think it was Rob. I saw Kat and who else? I think it was Taylor. They walked past to us and they were drenched in sweat and they were wearing their rehearsal outfits. And I just looked at Rob and I go,
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it.
It's a lot.
I don't get
Yeah.
it. I don't get it.
But you know what I love about your cast, besides the fact that they commit to everything in this show? There's such a level of commitment from all the characters. I love that off screen, because I got to socialize with you guys a little bit, they seem to like each other. I mean, they show up for, I mean, how many went to see you and Emerson's? I mean, they went to see you
The
and
whole
Emerson.
cast
Everybody.
came to see our
The
little
whole
play.
cast went.
Yeah.
And every week, you guys should know, it really is a phenomenal thing to watch. They have viewing parties every Monday night, 2 seasons in, and all of the actors that are in town and not working show up, and they all watch the show together and tweet with their fans. I mean, it is a very rare thing for a show to engage that strongly with the fans and clearly love each other.
We whenever
Yeah.
anyone comes to the set, it's a very strange place to come to, because there's always somebody that you kind of have to watch out for, or who's around and whatever. But people come in, it's just a party. I mean, we work really hard. I mean, like we said, the drenched with sweat and all that business. I mean, you can't find a harder working group of people. They don't just come in, flash a badge, a cop badge, do a few lines of cop dialogue, and go. I mean, they're in it, and but everyone's in a really good mood, and everyone really likes each other. And I think that's when I was saying earlier, and Kat, you weren't here for this, but when I said like I could give anyone anything to do and they would go for it, I think it's because not only do they want to do it, but they want to do that with that other person. Like, I think everyone loves having scenes with people they don't usually have scenes with. I know, like, for instance, the storyline this season, for instance, with Valerie, Raquel had like no business or scenes with Kimberly Elise in the first season. Well, now she, this season's been.
That's a great story.
And Valerie's like, oh my, like I get to work with Kimberly Elise, and she was so thrilled about it, and Kim was thrilled too. And it's just like because they already loved each other and they already so I think that's just kind of the vibe that we have on the set. We're very appreciative of the fact that we've got this great show
And you're
that we all
working.
get to it. Hello.
Yeah.
Not everyone.
And tell us that we're going to have to wrap up. So tell us what night to watch.
Hit the Floor. We have 3 episodes left. Monday, VH1, 9 p.m., 8 Central.
And if you haven't been
Yay.
watching, you need to tune in. Where can people find you guys on social media? Because that's important.
Personally,
Yes.
on Twitter, at James LaRosa.
And Brent?
Twitter is the same. It's at Brent Antonello.
All right. So find them, follow
and
them.
Katherine Bailess.
Keep up
Katherine
with the
Bailess.
cast. And it seems like kind
No,
of the...
mine's at Kat Bailess, not Katherine.
Yeah, just Cat.
That's shortening.
Just Cat, because she didn't have too many characters. But to wrap it up with, I think, an
Yeah.
appropriate sports ball metaphor, it seems that one of the big successes of your show is that if everybody's on the same team, that's how you win.
Otherwise,
God.
you're killed.
All
That was a
right.
good-
There it
Did you
is.
like that?
Did you hear
Good
what I
sports
said? I
ball.
said, otherwise you get killed off.
I don't listen.
I mean, other shows.
Of other shows. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's theoretically what happens sometimes on some series. Thank you guys for being with us. It truly is a phenomenal show. We look forward to seeing so much more. And Brent's nearly naked in Monday night's episode, so homos listening, that is reason enough to watch. Come for the nudity and stick around for the
Yeah.
drama.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right, wrapping up in our news, Southern Baptist is a screening in Raleigh, North Carolina this
For
week
a
for a
week.
week at the
Yeah.
Rialto Theater. So if you are anywhere in North Carolina or have friends there, send them out to support the movie. me. What
Please
else
do.
you got?
I've got 2 gigs in August coming up. I'm headlining the Gay Games, more sports in
sports ball.
Akron, Ohio, in the middle of the month, 13th of August, and I will be the Grand Marshal of Calgary Pride. I'm going to Canada at the end of the
Yay.
month, Labor Day weekend. So
Yay.
All right. Well, you can find old episodes of our show on our YouTube channel. You can listen to them on iTunes, and you can join us next week where our special guest will be Michael Urie talking about his show Buyer and Seller
which
here in
is
Los Angeles.
wonderful. Yes.
All right, so thank you guys. Thanks to Kat, James, and Brent for being with us. Stick around. Up next, On Air with Tony Sweet, and after that, The Ann Walker Show. A whole afternoon on UBN Radio.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Bye, Kat.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. She gonna say bye.
Bye, y'all.
Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe.